All right. Good morning.
Morning.
My name's Steve Mickerson. Do I have permission to record you doing this interview?
Yes.
All right, perfect. So as I said, my name is Steve Mickerson. I'm a pro pilot student at MTSU.
Okay. My name's Dan Bartels. I'm a certified flight instructor, so I'm a CFI, CFII, so certified flight instructor and certified flight instructor with my instrument certificate also.
You got both
Yes.
tickets. Nice. That's awesome. So the purpose of this interview is to gain more insight on what a flight instructor does.
Yes.
So as I progress through school and get my license and stuff, I'm not going to be able to jump into a job. So flight instructor is number one job?
Yes, it is. Especially transitioning from just going and getting your commercial license and then your CFI and building all of your hours.
Oh yeah. So your answers will be recorded, obviously, in this interview, and it should take about 20 to 30 minutes, not too long. So if you feel uncomfortable at all in any way, please don't hesitate to stop me. We can stop at any point. You can walk away. So, ready to go?
Got it.
All right, let's jump right in. So, I said getting your CFI, so your flight instructor license.
Yes.
Is one of the most difficult licenses to get.
It's not necessarily one of the most difficult to get, but it's definitely the most mentally taxing.
Okay.
Just because you're having to pull all of the information that you've learned from your entire, essentially, beginning career of working towards all of your licenses, and now instead of just receiving it, having to figure out how you're going to teach it. So it's a lot of going through and being like, okay, I remember my first instructor teaching me about basic aerodynamics.
Mm-hmm.
How am I going to make a actual course plan to teach someone else how to understand aerodynamics?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And now, from your perspective, being a CFI, do you so you train people to become pilots, and also instruments. So do you train them to become CFIs, or do you train them to like your standard from for student to where you're at?
So I train them to the ACS standards, and then I try to go a little bit beyond that to my own personal standards, where I like to think that I just what's it called? I like to instill certain aspects of flying that I wish that my initial instructor had instilled on me, with things that are extremely important, and instead of me just taking control and doing it to kind of just build my hours, letting my students know, hey, you need to do A, B, and C because they do D, E, and F.
Okay. I see what you're saying.
So perfect example is the very first flight I do with any student is I go through and put the plane in a extremely untrimmed setup. And I will have them take the controls and I will let go of everything and see them jerk forward or back while they're trying to maintain that altitude and that attitude.
Wow.
And then I will have them go through and retrim the plane and have them let go of their controls to see that if you have it trimmed out correctly, you do not have to touch the yoke at all and it will continue to fly straight.
Yeah.
And just that little bit of the first session, just doing that.
Yeah.
And they start catching things on a lot easier because they get that habit of, all right, I touched anything, let me retrim the plane.
Well, it's interesting because I flew in Apaches, so there's a trim button that when you move anywhere, it just stays there. But there's a mag brake, so you can force it.
Yep.
But you're forcing, I guess, the system at that point.
Yes.
So I see what you're coming from there for that. So this is a natural progression for like any flight student, any pilot that has their private pilots.
Yes.
Okay.
I think that it's a natural progression. I mean, some people will go through and they only want to get their private license because their goal is to just get their private license, buy a small little Cessna 150 and putz around in it and just enjoy flying. not necessarily doing it as a career,
Mm-hmm.
but as more of a extremely expensive hobby.
Yeah. So follow up to that. When you got your CFI and CFII, the average pass fail rate? Do you like for anybody who's looking to go that route? Like what percentage?
I've heard. I mean, I was one of the lucky ones where I was able to pass my CFI and II my first go through.
Right.
But I've heard that it has as high as a 75% failure rate on your first go through for your CFI.
And scheduling those takes
just
really long.
Yeah, I had to schedule my CFI 2 months in advance.
Wow.
And when you're talking about only needing 10 hours of flight time,
mm-hmm.
and the rest is all ground instruction, 2 months, that's an eternity.
Yeah.
But that entire time you're making lesson plans, you're building binders, you're going through things, you're talking with your CFI instructor.
Yeah.
Because in order to actually train someone as a CFI, you have to be a CFI for 2 years and have a special endorsement from the FAA.
Okay, that's interesting to know that. And what is that actually called, that endorsement?
I don't know what the specific name for the endorsement is.
Okay.
I just know that the instructor who was giving me my CFI, this guy Eric Hood out in Smyrna, he had been doing it for years, and so he kind of was a plethora of knowledge.
Oh, I bet he was.
Where it's one of those weird things also where I learned more doing the grounds and flying with Eric for my CFI prep.
Okay.
And just starting to build things than the previous year and a half of me getting my private through commercial.
Yeah.
Just because it's such a dense overload of information that you are trying to consolidate down,
right,
that you have no choice but to learn it.
Oh yeah, the rote memorization, definitely.
Yeah, because it surpasses rote memorization, because
and
that's
it becomes correlation.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and then practical.
Yes.
Exercise, yeah. So moving on to the next question.
Of course.
The requirements to become a CFI. It's pretty standard across anywhere.
Yeah.
Like, how do you feel about them, since you already earned yours,
Mm-hmm.
for future pilots? Like, I guess senior pilots went through.
Yeah, I mean,
different.
I would definitely say that I feel very comfortable with what the standards are right now.
Mm-hmm.
Just because, I mean, realistically, you need that little bit of extra time, and that associating from, sitting in the left seat to the right seat,
right,
and seeing how much that changes, even though you're only moving over by 2 feet inside of the plane.
Right.
A lot of things change.
Yes, I understand that. Flying in the trainer aircraft in flight school, well, for helicopters, flying different seats is definitely way different from just being a pilot to TFC.
Yes.
And
then having that realization of, oh, now I'm the one that's in charge. I'm the one that the student's going to be looking towards. Okay. Now it's real.
Oh yeah, been there. I was never an instructor, but flying in the military, flew with a lot of instructors. So this is, I know what you're saying. So everything's on my name. So I know what you mean.
Yes.
So as an instructor, what is your perspective about the shortage of pilots?
It makes me so happy.
Oh yeah?
It makes me so thrilled, because it gives me a real good sense of job security, that once I hit my 1,500 hours of flight time,
right,
I have a job.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't have to go searching for an airline job. I actually already have one already set up, that as soon as I hit my 1,500 hours, I have a class date.
Oh wow. And that's you're going from, I guess, prop wing to
yeah.
jet then. That's awesome. So anybody that's going into the future pilot gig,
for the next 10 years,
oh yeah,
it's only going to be beneficial.
Okay.
And it's going to be one where the sooner you can get in, the more beneficial it's going to be. because I know that just this year, all of the regionals, I shouldn't say all the regions, but the lion's share of the regionals
Right.
have renegotiated their contracts with the different pilot, what is it called? The different pilot unions that they work through.
Okay.
So I know that places like PSA Airlines, they went from paying a first officer $54 an hour with 75 hours guaranteed to now it's $90 an hour.
Oh, wow.
75 hours guaranteed.
That's a good $40,000 change.
So that's instead of living your first year as a first officer eating ramen and trying to figure out how you're going to live in this new city or commute to work.
Yeah.
You have that little bit more of comfort and security of knowing, hey, I'm not having to live paycheck to paycheck because I'm brand new into this, even though I've been flying for the last 2, 3, 4 years, getting up to this step. It's an actual next step up in your career where you're going to be actually getting a raise from being a CFI to working for a airline, because a lot of times from people that I've been talking to, they've actually taken a little bit of a pay bump or not a pay bump, but a pay drop going from a CFI to an airline, just because their first year as a first officer, you're the bottom of the totem pole.
Yep, you gotta work your way up. Wow, that's good news. That's I didn't know it was in that dire straits, but I'm happy that it is, because it's just more opportunities for anyone that's going into this career field. So you're getting ready to go fly. I caught you at a great time.
Yes.
Because you can tell me about day in the life of being a flight instructor.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a lot of hurry up and wait.
Okay.
Because we get our students by people walking in, and so if you're not physically here to talk to a new student, there's a chance that you just aren't going to have any students.
Right.
So a lot of it is waiting around, hoping that a new student will come in, and then as you slowly build up your student load, you're able to just fly more and more and more and start instilling that knowledge on them.
Okay.
So like this week I have 6 students that I'm flying with.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
So it's going to be a very good, productive week for me and for them.
Okay.
Because I can come in, I usually get here about a half hour before the student comes in. I take the plane out of the hangar. I will do an initial pre-flight before they touch the plane.
Okay.
And just make sure that, hey, everything's fine, it's safe, it still has fuel, oil, the wings are still there, the tires aren't deflated, or there's nothing that could potentially ground the aircraft or make it unsafe while we're doing all of our normal flight stuff, because training planes, they get beat.
Yep. Oh yeah.
They are not gently used.
Yeah, I know the feeling. Yeah. They break all the time too. Well, the ones I flew in flight school, they broke all the time. And the red X and birds all the time. So roughly 6 pilots that you train.
So right now, I have 9 students currently.
Okay.
And because I've just been here with Shelbyville Flight Academy for a few weeks, and so I'm still building up that student load.
Okay. And what's what's your goal, I guess?
As far as student wise, or I'm trying to get roughly about 20 students.
Okay.
And being able to fly at least 15 times a week with them. Because I know that a lot of times I will have students that, because it's an expensive thing to do, they can only afford to fly once a week, once every other week.
Right.
And then I'll have some from MTSU, hopefully, where I'll be able to have them come in, 2, 3 times a week, because they have their student loans that are just able to pay for things. And
yeah, it's quite expensive.
Yes.
So 20, that's crazy.
I mean, if you think about it, it's 20 students. If I'm flying 2 or 3 of them 3 times a week, and then the majority of them are going to be people coming in, hey, I can only fly on weekends, I can only fly 1 day a week, I can only fly once every other week.
Okay, so it's a hodgepodge of different times.
Yes, it's a hodgepodge of different times, different personalities, different ages.
Okay, it's great. I can't wait. I can't wait to be in your seat. So moving on to my last question. What is your best and worst times as being like your worst moment of being a flight instructor and your best one?
So I mean, the most nerve-wracking is sending up a student solo, because it's me going, okay, I've gotten you to the point where I think that you're trustworthy to go up by yourself, without anyone with you, and not die. I've had another instructor fly with you, and they've also told me that, yes, you are probably not going to kill yourself.
Right.
But there's still always that worry that, oh no.
Yep.
What if they don't come?
Yeah. I know we laughed about it, but it's serious business.
Yes, but it's one where you're sitting here for an hour, 2 hours with the radio, listening, just, come on.
Yeah. Where you at?
Where are you?
Yeah.
I want to hear your voice being very uncertain on the radios.
Yeah.
Come on.
I mean, is that like a confidence booster?
For most of 100% it's a confidence booster, because once they go out, they do their solo flight, they're like, oh, I'm here by myself, I have no safety net.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like a 180-degree turn a lot of times.
Oh yeah.
Where the student's going to have a lot more confidence, they are more comfortable flying, they're understanding a lot more of the systems, and they have that air of, okay, I can actually do this. Now it's just fine-tuning, getting ready for that check ride.
Yeah, good deal. Now the opposite end of the spectrum, best moment.
When I send a student through for their check ride and they pass.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, because it's that nice reaffirming that, hey, you put in a lot of hard work, and I walked you through every step of the way, getting you to this point where, even though it is your accomplishment, I still feel very proud and accomplished myself for helping you get that goal.
It's a great feeling when you lead from cradle to grave.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand.
And a lot of times, not a lot of times, but enough of the time, they will get that next rating and they're hungry and they're just like, hey, I want to keep flying. I want to start working towards my next rating.
Right.
How do I go about doing that? And with private students, it's like, all right, we're going to start doing instrument flights now. Get yourself a pair of goggles.
Oh yeah, those are interesting.
Yeah.
Flying the clouds for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that concludes the interview portion. Oh, sorry, excuse me.
Oh.
I missed a question.
Oh no.
It's a follow-up to the best and worst moments.
Yes,
so,
of course.
For any flight student or pilot pursuing a career into whatever aviation has to offer, airlines,
Yes.
transportation, boxes, whatever it may be, and what advice could you give them, knowing what you know now?
Get in early, but understand that you, at the very beginning, you're gonna suck.
Yeah.
And it's going to be that thing of just every time that you go for a flight, try to suck less and understand that it's supposed to be fun.
Yeah.
If you're going up and you are not enjoying yourself and not having fun flying, that's an issue, that's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Because you should be stoked and hyped up and extremely happy and just be like, all right, let's do this every single time that you go flying.
Right.
Because it is an amazing experience, an amazing feeling. And also just understand that, yeah, your first few flights, you're going to come down and you are going to be physically exhausted.
Yeah.
And your legs are going to be shaky and you're going to hear more right rudder constantly.
All centered.
Just more right rudder. Just every single time you get into a plane, it's just like, all right, I'm not putting enough right rudder in.
Yeah.
And it just
happens in the professional world too. So.
Yeah.
So giving a break off on a little segue there. So like in Afghanistan, flying around, we're targeting an individual on the ground, and we had, I don't know, 40, 50 knot crosswinds.
Oh yeah.
And trying to do figure eights,
Mm-hmm.
and not enough. At that point, it was left pedal because we were flying against the wind.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, when we go the other way, it's the opposite pedal. So
Yeah.
we're flying like this. And I need more right pedal because the bad dude's over there.
Yeah.
So it's, I know the feeling.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I mean, really, it's also just always making sure that you're getting those the weather reports when you're up in the air.
Oh, yeah.
Because there was one time I was coming in, and it was a nice, beautiful day, and I was coming in on final, and a microburst formed at the other end of the airport. So we went from a 6 knot, we had a 6 knot quartering headwind to a 30 knot quartering tailwind.
Oh, that's scary.
And we were 200 feet off the ground.
Yeah.
So it became a situation of like, all right, well, either we're going to land this or we die.
Yeah.
And it's a very interesting thing to just feel the plane just go, oh, I have lift, nothing.
Yep. Sucks the air right
And then you're just like, okay, and it's where all of your training and going through and you're like, all right, stall stuff happens.
Yep.
And even when you're that close to the ground and it happens, just relying back on the muscle memory that you formed all the way back from your private license kicks in, and you're able to safely make it back down to the ground.
Yes. It's very relying on training.
Yes.
Oh yeah. You can definitely relate.
And that's one of the reasons why we instill so much chair flying, even though it's
Oh yeah, I've done it quite a bit of times.
yeah, where it always feels stupid,
Yep.
even for me, even when I'm chair flying as a instructor, because I'll still chair fly every day when I'm driving to work. I'll be like, all right, this is what I'm going to be teaching today for my first student. Let me just give myself a little refresher mentally.
Yep. Well, that's awesome, Dan. I want to appreciate you and thank you for your time.
No, of course.
So at this point, the interview is complete. I want to personally thank you for your time and insight. Do you have any information that you would like to share at all?
I mean, I'm pretty much always here for if anyone has any questions to come in, ask. My door's open.
Okay. Well, I have your number now, so I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And thank you so much.
Of course.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna give you some of my cards, and this way, if you know anyone